Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tea Time with TT. Today, we have an amazing first guest, okay? Because as per my spirit team, this is to be my first guest that's here. She is dear to my heart. I'm stingy with my
I say.
spiritualist. So she is my personal reader, and she's just different, and I love that about her, and that's what we're all about here. So I would like you guys to give a warm welcome to Iretifase.
I say.
Ashe. I said it right. See, look, y'all, I ain't
Yes,
messing
you
up this
did.
time. So the first thing that we're gonna do here, we're gonna find out what a Tifashe's specific spiritual practices. What is your specific spiritual practice?
My specific that I chose, well, my ancestors chose for me this lifetime is
Uh-huh.
IFA.
So your IFA. Now, I understand that there are different branches of IFA. I heard. So is there a
Mhm.
specific branch that you are practicing, or it's just IFA as a whole?
Okay, traditionally,
Mhm.
there's no way around it. To be honest, in Africa, it's Ifa, or some will refer to Isheshe.
Okay.
But as the Atlantic slave trade happened and people moved through the islands, there's different branches like Santeria, Lukumi, where being honest, everybody had to hide the Orishas behind the saints. So that's where you
Tell
get
it.
the Santeria from. So,
Okay. Okay. So now I didn't even go over this one. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later because I wanted to ask you about how
okay.
that is. You know what I'm saying? So the next one
Right.
is tell me a little bit about yourself as a person. Like, who are you
Um,
as a person?
as a person, my original government name is Michelle Johnson.
Okay, but it's still
My-
that's so crazy to me. It's still like
but my Ifa name is Ire Tifashe.
Mhm.
Uh, I work in a salon where I cut hair. I also do readings. I am a
Okay.
psychic medium. Um,
You are.
I'm a
You are.
mother. I'm a grandmother. One of my daughters is also initiated, and those two granddaughters had had their Essentaye.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
so they have their Ifa names and what it means and their markings. And yeah, I mean, I live a normal everyday life, but in a spiritual factor.
I
Mhm.
like that. That's what's up right there. So, what made you go into this specific practice? I mean, everybody that can see knows that you're not
Right.
of African descent, but I call her the whitest Black lady I know. Okay. Because this is the only person that is Caucasian that my ancestors will speak to. Like,
Right.
this is the only person.
And
And,
you
and
know,
they,
that's crazy for me because I have some ancestors, and one of them in particular was speaking to another medium who was white. And I asked a question, and her response was, I ain't finna tell this white lady.
see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
So
Like,
I
it happens. Mine
get
are
it.
extremely, yeah, mine are extremely
Hmm.
protective. And when I was told to go get my reading from you, they were like, but wait until the next day for a specific reason. Like they came to her in dream form and gave her some messages that she has been absolutely fucking corrected by. I will tell y'all that. So
I appreciate
definitely, definitely she
um
is speaking to spirit. But what made you
so before Ifa, I always would practice what we call voodoo, folk
mm,
magic.
mm,
Um I knew the Bible. I was put out of the church at an early age for telling folks about how they are.
having a
Um,
lot of us?
right. Or just saying, no, yeah, they're not right. They don't need to be here speaking. But
Right.
so I've always honored my ancestors, the ones that I know, the ones that I don't know, the ones that walk with me. And in one of my awakening processes, I started remembering from a past life. And I started seeing these rituals, and I'm like, the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm with it, but what is it?
Okay,
So
like I'm with
I'm
it.
searching. And at the
Mhm.
time, I was working in a botanica 1 day a week, just doing readings. So I started talking to her, and I'm like, what is this? So my first thought, because the only thing I had to picture it was Santeria.
Mm.
And I knew she introduced me to who was going to be her padrino.
Okay.
So I went, I had a reading with him, and no man. Um,
Okay.
he com- he
Listen.
completely mismarked me in the reading. Part of the things he said in the reading were correct. I can't take that from him.
Right.
But the rest, there's a difference when it doesn't resonate because it's going to show up later, and a difference when it doesn't resonate because you can't read me.
Facts.
Okay. The other clue was my ancestors literally came down and told him he was not allowed to take any money from me. I went equipped to pay $150 for this reading.
Mm-hmm.
So he does the marking. I knew that that wasn't right, but at that time I'm like, well, maybe it's just because I don't know a lot about the Orishas, but I
Hmm.
just did not feel Obatala at all.
Right. I don't
So
either.
yeah. And every Obatala that I know, I'm like, yeah, no. So I went to my ancestor altar one day, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I have a conversation with my ancestors, my spirits, just like I'm having a conversation with you. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't really have anything to petition, but I'm here. So, what's up? What y'all got to say?
Right.
And the lady said, you're not going to do Santeria. And I said, fuck you mean? Yes, I am. You know what I mean? I'm like, we here, we invested. What are you talking about?
Right.
So
Right.
she said, you're close, but no. And I said, okay. And then she said, you're going to give your hand to Ifa. And I looked
Oh.
and I said, And I just listened for a minute. I said, I'm gonna try not to argue. She said, you can give your hand to Ifa. And when the time comes, you will crown a priest. I said, listen, y'all know we white this lifetime, first of all.
Okay. Do y'all know,
And
right?
I said, it's second of all, on top of that, where's the money gonna come from? Like,
Okay.
because at that time, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have a good relationship with money. So the money was coming in and the money was going out just as fast. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't good at saving, you know what I mean? So I'm like, where, who, and why? Right.
That part.
So they said, don't worry about it. If you make the commitment, we will take care of the rest. I said, okay. And when I
Oh, I got
say I
goosebumps,
cannot make
baby.
this up, I
Woo!
was in the Botanica, and my godmother, the woman who's now my godmother,
Uh-huh.
was there at the psychic fair, but she was doing massages.
Okay.
And when she walked through the door, I looked at her, and the lady who owned the store, she said, Michelle, what is it? And I said, I know her. And she said, what you mean? I said, Spirit leads my eyes to my people. That's my people. And I don't know why I know her,
That part.
but I know her.
Okay.
And she's like, all right, I'm going to introduce you. At the time, I did not know that this other woman had ego issues and was jealous. So of course she introduced me as her little seer, right?
Oh,
So I'm talking to Ia and I'm like, I know her. And it was just so comfortable and just like I felt like I was talking to my family. I
yes.
did find out something deeper recently in the last month that I would have never known. But
Oh,
anyway, so I'm like, I gotta talk to her. So the guy that originally read me came in at the same time. And
oh
he's talking to
Lord.
her. He's like, yeah, I told her she is to get such and such together to crown her. And in my head, my spirits is like, no, we're not. Okay, so I'm trying to be, smooth, whatever. So long story short, that September, my birthday was coming and I had a dream. And in my dream, I was walking on these big, like maybe banana leaves. They were big green leaves on this
Mm.
path forward. It was a full moon. Nobody else was there with me. And I kept hearing this word, Iami, Iami, Iami. And I'm like, So I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Right. And so, I'm like, so I'm texting the owner at the time and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I'm hearing Iami, like what? And she said, oh, let me text Ia.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I know what it means, but I can't tell. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So my godmother calls me. She was in Atlanta. She was like, I'll be home Tuesday. She said, but I'm interested to hear about your dream. So I tell her about my dream. She said, yeah, so can you come over on Thursday and we're
That
going
was
to do a
it.
reading? I said,
Period.
okay. So I get to her house and as soon as I hit her mat, she was like, I'm trying to figure out why you got so many people. Like, can you tell them to stand down? I said, yeah. So she just starts, before she even reads, she just starts telling everything. And I'm like, you in my business like that. And you know what I mean? I'm like, hold
Disrespectful.
on.
That's how I felt when she read me, y'all. I'm telling you.
So then I'm
Okay.
like, wait a minute. So she says, are you from New Orleans? And I said,
Give it.
no. And she said, well, your people are. I said, oh my God. She said, well, I said, because I've had a strong pull there but for whatever reason,
Mhm.
I just ain't really made a plan, but I'm getting there. So she
Mhm.
was like, your people are. And I said, okay. And she said, so she starts telling me they're gonna do these cuts in your wrist. I said, hold on, man. Wait a minute.
Wait, hold up. Pause. The fuck is
So
you
she
talking
was
about?
like, when you receive Sode, you're gonna get these cuts in your wrist. I said, I thought I was coming for a reading for IFA. And she
Okay.
said, oh, you are. She said, but you won't even see the cuts later. And I'm like, she said, just bear with me. I'm like, okay. So she does my reading.
Uh,
And when I say she gets the throwing this damn chain, okay? And I'm like, wait a minute, you get all this from this chain?
change?
So
Like,
she
hold
starts throwing the chain, marking the Odu's, and she starts giggling. And I said, what's so funny? And she said, this Odu actually speaks of the client is albino or of fair skin.
up. Period.
I said, okay. So, she tells me every other thing. Well, all these other Odus were coming down about the eldest daughter that is to be adorned with bracelets to be the wife of an Oba, a king. And I was like, she told me about my marriages. She told me about my sexual trauma, everything. And I'm like,
Yes. I know, right?
okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to be signing up and where
like,
right.
how does
So
this
she
go?
said,
Like,
I would love for you to be my godchild. I said, okay. I,
aw.
all right. I said, well, we're gonna do this. And she said, if you can get the money together, I was supposed to go through that April, but COVID had kind of shut everything down.
Oh, girl.
So she said, if you can get the money together by February, you know, um, we'll go ahead and have everything in play for you and you'll be ready to go through Ishe Fine. I'm like, all right. So I left her house and she marked my Orishas because the first thing she said to me before she did my reading, she said, you're not feeding one of your spirits in the home. I said, the hell you say, yeah, I feed all my spirits. You know what I mean? She was like, no.
like, we're not
So
doing that.
I go back to that and I was like, what was my ancestors talking about? I'm not feeding one of my spirits. She said, who was your Orisha? Who did he mark you as? So I told her, she said, I said, I know. So she does my marking. Um, there was no guest on the Yemoja at all. Like that just came down
I
strong.
kid you not. And I feel like your eyes, okay, so I don't know if it's not going to do justice in this video, guys.
Right.
This lady has water blue eyes. Like, it's piercing. Like, if you guys, like,
Mhm.
when you follow her, because go follow her on Facebook. We're gonna get that information and we're gonna put it up here on the screen and everything right under her image. But like, if you see, you will be able to see. You could see who's over you, like
Yeah.
immediately.
And it's
Mhm.
funny because in my mind, I thought it was gonna be Oya.
Mm.
And then she gave me this deep story. She said, let me tell you something. She said, just because somebody's a medium does not make them an Oya. She said, but I can see it because the dead do walk with you. And I was like,
Mhm.
mm-hmm. She said, but if you drained the ocean right now, what would you find? all of our ancestors.
That part.
Damn. I said, okay, that's deep. I didn't even look at it like that, you know.
Right.
So she says, then she divined on my because in Santeria you only get your crown Orisha until you actually become priest. IFA, you get
Right.
the whole deal.
Right.
So she thought I was going to be a child of Ogun, but Eshu actually beat Ogun by 1 point. So Ogun does walk with me. So it
Okay.
doesn't surprise me when a lot of people pick up that Ogun energy.
Mhm. See,
Um,
my question about that is, can you have more than one Orisha over you, or you're just gonna have, like, I mean, as far as like more than one feminine aspect and
you
more than
can
one
okay,
masculine?
so you can. That's funny because my granddaughter typically, you have your crown and your complement
Mhm.
label, but as my godmother would say, all the Orishas reside within us. So
Mhm.
sometimes we may display different aspects of that Orisha.
Got you.
But my youngest granddaughter is in Oshun Obatala, but her Oshun actually comes with Yemoja.
Mhm.
Like that
Okay.
was the first thing that my Baba said, but it's not, but her actual marking is Oshun Obatala. But he said she actually comes with both waters because they came together kind of playing with each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, okay, I get it. But typically when you hear people say, oh, I got three of them, they fucking lying. Because you're
Yeah. Because
marked
I'm
to
like, I don't
two.
know.
I've had someone tell me that they had this Orisha at their feet, this Orisha at their head, and Santa Muerte. I said, baby, Santa Muerte ain't got nothing to do with Ifa. I'm gonna need you to sit down. Like,
I don't
and
have
stop lying
several.
to these
Like,
folks.
you figure it out.
But you can, now you do carry, the energy. Sometimes a lot of people I've had other priests say, you sure you're not Oya? Well, no, but I understand the reason why they pick
Why
up on
they're
that. And
saying
that's a
that. Mhm.
whole different story.
Right.
But so she did my reading, and the money actually came through an ancestor baby.
Wait, a
I
what?
did
Say
not,
that again.
right. The money for my Ishefa came through an ancestor baby because I was working with someone who was getting ready to have a baby. And I kept telling her, I said, something's different about this baby. And she, God bless it. She was like, I don't want no more kids. I think she was on number 5. So I said, well, you're going to have this baby and it's going to be something different. Well, the baby was born. The baby had some complications.
Yeah.
I did not remember. Apparently, I was channeling when I text her. So
Mhm.
she comes into work and she was like, you just make me want to cry. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, your text message. I said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I go in the back room to look for my phone. And apparently I started texting her saying, don't worry about little Ruby, who was born with blue eyes.
Oh, oh
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
And mind you, this child is Black. This baby was born with blue eyes. So I said,
Wow.
don't worry about her. She had to come from far away. She had to go through a lot of hurt and pain, but she's here. And I was like, I don't remember sending this. So come to find out, her mother's mother, so her grandmother, was killed by her uncle. Her and her husband, he stabbed them to death, put them in a boat, and was trying to flee through the lake when the police caught them. When I say that baby has the grandmother's eyes, mhm.
That's freaking amazing. That's how you
And then
know.
so it came income tax time, and she was like, you know what? I can't claim her. You claim Ruby because I believe in what you're about to do. Mhm,
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's how you know
mhm.
it's meant to be. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? How it's meant to be. Because when you're supposed to do something, it's just gonna kind of fall in your lap. You won't have to really work so hard for it. When you are
Right.
something, you just are, you know? So how is
Mhm.
that? How's it been for you in the space of IFA and things like that?
Um,
Or the spiritual practice, like being Caucasian or what people perceive to be? Because I feel like your soul is not white. Like I really
It's
do.
not. My original soul is a dark skinned woman from New Orleans. But
Yeah.
my original life,
Yes.
many, many carnations. But um n- now my godmother did prepare me, and so
Hmm.
did my mother, the week of. My godmother did tell me, that day that she did my reading, she said, you are not going to be just, typically a person who goes through Ishepa is an Aberisha. You're newly
Yeah.
initiated.
Right.
She said, you are not going to be just an Aberisha. You're going to be a Sode. And I was like, what is that? And she was like, that's the pets I told you about. You're going to be an Apetabi, the wife of Arumala. And I was like, okay. She said, look at it as the phase before priest. You are the intermediary, the midwife
Okay.
to, because I have to be at the ceremonies to help the new initiates come through. Okay.
Yes, I could see that.
And I was like, and I had an understanding, but I did not understand until I started doing the work. But she did prepare me. She said, Michelle, there's going to be a lot of people that's jealous. And I said, okay. And she said, because a lot of people have been through for years and want Sode. They want it so bad. And it has not came down for them. She said, so you coming through as a Sode?
Hmm.
I said, she said, so, just, she said, you ain't new to jealousy. So but I'm just letting you know kind of how it works. Now,
Hmm.
my daughter, we actually went through at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, she was also supposed to receive Sode, but she said, no, I don't feel like I'm responsible enough. So
Hmm.
she halted. And, the next time it comes down for her, she's going to have to
Yes, she's
do it.
gonna
Like
have to.
there's no
Right.
way around it because the EIME will come and snatch them edges. We've already told her you can't keep saying, no,
Not
I
the
don't want to
edges,
elevate.
sis.
Right. So it has been, these 16 months have been a ride. I'm gonna say that. I have not had, I'm in a space in my life where when I read the energy, like I told my godmother, I accept whoever the fuck accepts me. And if not, I really don't give a fuck. Now she
Okay,
told me I
that
need to work
part.
on that. She told me I need to work on that a little bit, but um I had not had a lot of resistance in the beginning. Um, because when I read the energy, I just kind of know how to move in the space.
Right.
I kind of felt out who I could have a conversation with and who I couldn't.
Mhm.
It did come out, let's see, I went through that July, I want to say that October. The original women that I
Mhm.
was cut with in my Sode line, we are not the same Sode line anymore. Some
Mhm.
have been removed, some have fell off, but it came out, there was somebody always beefing somewhere. And that's another
Mhm.
part of being a Sode. You have to learn how to work with other women. Some
Yes.
women receive Sode to have better relationships with women.
Mhm.
Um, they're still, in that dynamic, along with any other dynamic, um, a certain amount of ego, so you have some women who are like, I don't even want to bother with you because I'm gonna be a priest. And those are usually the ones who are left behind and don't elevate.
Mhm.
And then there's people who I know if I'm called to work that Ishefa, I'm there to cook. I am there to help the initiates. I am there to serve the priest. I am there if somebody gets mounted, if somebody's period comes on, anything can go down that whole
Yeah.
weekend. And I am there to help those through the birthing process and help make it smoother for the priest.
Mhm.
I don't give a fuck what you got
What
going on.
you got?
You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, I understood the assignment. I'm not
That
getting
part.
caught up in no petty bullshit. So it did come out one time, um, and I love her to death. My Sode sister said, well, why you over there smiling in Iretifase face? Tell her how you ain't understand how she was white and how the fuck was she coming through as Sode.
Ooh,
And I bust out laughing.
ooh, ooh.
And I said, ooh. And my other Sode sister was upset. She was like, oh my God. Sis, it's not funny. I was like, but it is. I said, I've been waiting on July for this to come out, since
Okay.
July for this to come out. I said, because y'all only make it more uncomfortable. I'd rather be the elephant in the room and say how you feel, so
That
we can
part.
either work it out or don't deal with each other. Like
That's
either
it.
way, I didn't know you before. So, you get what I'm saying?
I ain't
There
gonna give
was
a damn if
that.
I don't know you after.
Um, I don't really hear a lot because I try to keep my eyes on my own mat. Okay.
Absolutely. As you
Because
should.
just like with any other practice, it's a lot of fuck shit in these E5 streets. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not
Period.
trying to, I'm not trying to be rap. I'm trying to keep Iwa Pele, which is good character, and stay in a state of E-Ray. I am not trying to get caught up in the bullshit. Um, I've heard things, but ain't nobody came to my face with it.
And
So,
if they don't come to your face, you ain't gotta respect it.
right, it ain't valid. So,
Okay,
I
period.
mean, but I can read, just like I'm getting ready. In July, I'm going to Houston. My Baba
Okay.
is having a biannual EFI conference. So
Oh,
of
nice.
course, it's not just going to be our main ELA, which is OIDSI. It'll be other houses there,
Nice.
just to celebrate and learn more about EFI in July. I'm sure I'll see, some faces turn, but at the end of the day, my response when that whole situation happened was I just laughed and I said I was waiting for it to come out. I said, but I will say this: who are you to question what the ancestors called for or what EFI has ordained? At the end
That
of the
part.
day, because I've watched it, a person go get a reading who's Black, and it did not call for initiation.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So at the
Right.
end of the day, it comes down to what comes down on that mat. So who are you to question Ifa?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's how you view me, then your spiritual eyes ain't working, boo. So it's
Oh,
not valid. Okay.
that part. Okay. Y'all heard
So
that? Spiritual eyes is sleep. Them shit's closed. Okay. Now, so you said that you've already made Sode, right?
I did that when I went like all at the same time. It was a hell of a
Okay.
weekend.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, girl, you must have slept for a week after that.
hmm
That's wow. I mean, um, see, I got a reading from a Baba that was referred to me at some point, and some things that was said was basically I'm born, priestess already, and I
hmm
need to, and that I'm to initiate. Really, Michelle, we're gonna talk about this after in the end. Cause look, y'all see her right there. She reading me on the low. She ain't say nothing to y'all. She just
I
like,
mean,
uh-huh.
but I
We
don't.
gonna
It ain't like something I can turn on and off. So
I don't know.
I'll agree.
I know. I got people that get mad at me. Like, you need to turn that shit off when you come around me. I be like, I don't,
And
this
I'm
has
like,
been me my whole
well,
life.
can you show me? Because I'll take a little break. Like,
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I be wanting to sleep and these damn spirits be in the room. Girl. So yeah. So I heard some things from them. And a lot of stuff, like you said, was very true. But the energy, I think that it is because I know that I had past lives as damn near everything, right?
right,
And
right.
so for me, in this lifetime, I don't want to feel like I have to choose. Like if spirit leads me to the point where I'm like, I gotta do it, I gotta do it. I told you before, like I've always been
But you
um
don't have.
drawn to IFA. Exactly. See, this is the thing. You don't have to, but most people don't think that. They think once somebody says this is what you need to initiate as and stuff like that, they kind of like stress themselves out going forward after that. I knew very much so that I didn't have to do that at that point. I do know that I have been drawn to IFA, but I was already told that and I feel like that priest, that particular Baba, wanted me to initiate under him. But I was already told that it was a woman, and I was already told that it was you if I'm going to be initiated, right?
Oh, okay, I got
So
chill.
I did. I said it.
Yeah,
Look,
okay.
you got goosebumps. See,
I shade to that. Okay. But that
but
is true about the woman. But I will say this on that. I was the same way. I was like, you ain't gonna tell me I'm gonna do this. If I want to throw a Bible at a bitch, I'm going to. If I
Okay.
want to, do something else, I'm gonna do this too. But one thing I will say, and my godmother, I am so thankful for my godmother and my baba,
Mhm,
who are both chiefs. Okay.
mhm. Love it.
So I am so thankful. But she will tell, I have god sisters now who, okay, what a lot of people don't think is, oh, I'm coming in and I'm practicing IFA. No, IFA is your way of life.
Right.
It's a
Just like
different,
Voodoo is.
okay, right. So it's your way of life. Now I'm gonna say this one thing I've said before to other people. Oh, but this happens to me and this happens to me. And I thought if I came to IFA, no, IFA don't fix your life, boo.
No, it
IFA don't
don't.
fix your life. IFA, a lot of people come for the right reason because there's some
Mhm,
form of healing. Okay. What
mhm,
IFA does is teach you how to deal with these cycles of life because
mhm.
it's nature. At
That's
the end
true.
of the day, it's all down to the study of nature. But I have god sisters who live IFA, but they also go to church. They still Christian.
Right, right.
I have a god sister who is now in Ianifa, but she was our mambo. Okay.
Wow. See, I
But
love that.
she actually, the crazy part is she lives in New Orleans. She came up here. She wasn't going to come for my Ishe 5. And Spirit said, no, just go ahead and go sacrifice, get your money together. It was destined for us to meet. She's a whole mambo. She just became an Ianifa last year,
I love it.
but she actually was the priest who laid my legates.
See, it's all different.
So it's not that it has to be that can be your only spiritual practice. No, that's just now that's your way of life. If you want things to work, you have to work it just with any other practice. You know what I mean? But it does not mean, like I said, I got a older god sister that be on Zoom meetings with her Bible open. Okay.
Okay.
So
Because there's some truth in there. Now it might be plagiarized as
right.
hell, but it's
Oh,
some
it's
truth in
robbed. It's definitely robbed. But
it. Okay.
she still has her, she do a lot of psalms. I said,
Yeah,
yeah,
honey,
that's
because
that's that's because you got
songs
that
be
big witch
popping.
energy. She a
Yeah,
Yemoja
girl.
too. I said, I get it. But
That thing ain't no songs ain't no
right,
joke.
right.
So I want this to be said once and for all because I feel like I hear a lot of people, I don't like religion.
Uh-uh. I don't
Can
either.
you please explain to the peoples that Ifa is not a religion, it's a spiritual practice?
It's a spiritual practice. I think people get the misinformation that Ifa is religion because it is in that group of ATRs. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, saying that group of ATR, the African traditional religion, was easier for people to explain than saying it's a traditional indigenous practice.
Right.
Um, so I think that's where people got confused thinking, okay, well, it's a religion because voodoo is a religion. If you're
No,
practicing
voodoo is, yes,
traditional voodoo, then it is a
it is
religion
a
and not
religion.
a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual practice.
Spiritual practice.
Ifa is not a religion. Um, it is a spiritual practice. Now, they're going to suggest, you should get up in the morning and pray with your king. You should do this. On Mondays, you should throw Ajay seeds to make sure your money's coming back in. But it all goes back to nature. And you're not gonna get a beating if you ain't do what you was supposed to do. Because
Right.
guess what? It just means it ain't gonna work the way you thought it. That is just with spell work. If you don't do the work,
That's
you're
right.
not
It
gonna
ain't
get
gonna
no
work.
results. Right.
That part. So I'm glad that you said that. Also, I wanted to know, like, when you spoke about your awakening process, right?
Mm-hmm.
What got you through and what continues to get you through, like when you're ascending or when you had your spiritual awakening the first time and things like that as well? What got
I
you through?
think I'll say this. The first couple times I really didn't say anything to anybody because I learned as a child seeing the things that I seen You can't tell everybody that because they think you're crazy. So as an adult, when I started experiencing new things, or the things that kind of scared me as a child started coming back, I just kind of was quiet about it. You know, I noticed when I went to work, everybody was like, Michelle, you change, you're quiet all the time. I said, I just don't want to be in y'all shit.
Okay.
Like, and now I just don't want to hear y'all shit. I never entertained it before, but now I'm not even going to sit back here and hear it because I got my own shit going on.
Right,
It
right.
was a lot of rest was, and that was a thing as a Virgo I had to fight with, because I was like,
Yeah, I know.
and
I
and
got a
and
daughter
me
that's
fighting
Virgo.
it, I always ended up, it's crazy when I look back, me fighting it every year that I fought it or would just try to keep pushing through, I always ended up with either a terrible flare of my lupus or pneumonia, something that put my ass down for a little while.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
spirit will do
saying?
that. Man,
And
listen.
then the less I fought it, I won't getting like that back to back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the rest helped a lot. For me, I'm in Virginia. I'm in the Tidewater area, so I kind of went in different spiritual stores to kind of see. I did go and have a reading done. I'll never forget, my daughters did that. They were like, "We're going to get a reading," and I said, "A reading?" This is how tarot started. Okay. I said,
Period.
"A reading?" And they was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Like a tarot card reading?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, shit, I want to go see what this is about." Right.
Okay. That part. Why not?
So I go for my reading. Now, mind you, I just maybe the week before that had a spirit in my room and I didn't know what to do with her because I did not know at that time that I was supposed to be crossing her over. She
I
kept
was
saying,
about to
"I'm
say that
lost.
to you. That's
I'm
the first
lost.
thing.
I'm lost." And I'm like, okay, but I got a very big, this is exactly what I did. I was like, I got a very big meeting at work tomorrow and I need some sleep. And if you lost, I can't help you. I don't
I
know what to
can't.
do. You know what I mean? I look over at my toxic ass ex at the time. I said, this motherfucker done legit drove me crazy because I knew I could always feel them and
Yeah.
hear, but I didn't see until I seen her.
Mm.
So I'm texting people at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, there's this little girl in my room and I don't know what to do with that. She talking about she lost. Like, so my friend at the time was like, well, just ask her to go sit on the couch till in the morning and you'll talk to her then.
You need to talk to
I
her
was
then.
like, okay. And it let me sleep. So I go for this reading. This shit is in my head. I ain't tell nobody else. I'm like, I sit down for my reading and I start reading the reading. And the lady starts laughing. And she said, you know cards? I said, no. I've never seen a deck of tarot cards a day in my life. She said, well, you sitting on the wrong side of the table.
Okay.
I said, nah. And she said, you're supposed to be reading. I said, I
That's
just told you this.
same
I just
exact
told you
thing
the
happened to
story I
me.
seen. Right. You know, I was like, I
That's
just looked at the pictures. I'll tell you what it said. So she was like, that's how you know you're a real reader. And
that
I was
part.
like, so she asked me, it was funny. She said, let me see something. She threw this card out and the card said, the knower. Well, I started laughing. She said, what's so funny? I said, I'm a Virgo. We know everything. Not knowing she meant,
No,
you
that
know?
she means
So she said, that's funny, but that's not what it's
nah.
referring to.
Right.
So I asked her, I said, listen, I got some shit going on. And I don't know what the fuck is going down.
Got some shit
But
going
I
on. They got some
feel
shit
like,
going on.
right, I can't talk to nobody else about this.
Mhm.
And she said, okay, hold on a second. So she throws out a couple cards and she just looks at me and the tears start dropping. And I said, well, what's
Why is
wrong?
you crying, lady?
Right. And she said, how do you have all these gifts and you don't know? And I said, I know I got people in my bedroom and I don't know what to do with them.
That's
Right.
it.
You know, I was like, and
That's
she
all. That's
really
all I
started
got.
bawling. She said, they just want you to cross them over. I said, well, I ain't gonna get no manual with this shit. Like,
Right.
you just gonna
No,
show up and talk about something. I'm in a
that's how I
car. The
go.
one man told me I'm in a car accident. I was in a car accident, but I need to go back and get Kathy because I don't know if she's hurt. So when I'm looking at him, his clothes were like maybe from the 50s or 60s. I said, hold on. he said, no, when he first came through, because I was like, what the fuck is that? And then he said, you're a healer. Can you heal me? And I said, excuse me.
Ooh,
And then I
look
could
at
see
that.
him. He said, you're a healer. Can you heal me? He said, we was in a car accident, but I got to go back and get Kathy. I said, hold on. If we having this conversation like this, then nothing I can do for you.
Right?
Like,
Cat
you know,
gone.
I'm like, I can't,
By
in,
this
in,
time.
in this physical, and this was right after the reading with her. I said, well, what I can do, I said, I'm sure you can't find Kathy because Kathy's already transitioned over. I said, so I'm going to
You
help
gotta go
you
get her.
go get Kathy. And then after that, I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I do. And I had seen her a couple times after that. We're now really good friends. She's a high priestess, but in a just a normal pagan path.
Right.
But we laugh about it now. She said, if you could have seen your face when you were like, okay, I'm supposed to be crossing these people over, but I don't
Exactly.
get no how-to book. Like, how do I
Child.
listen? And each one is different. So I could talk with my children about it, but I couldn't, and my grandmother, but I couldn't really, what made me come out and be so, use my voice more or just say, hey, this is going on. What do? I need help. I'm exhausted. I
Right.
got headaches, you know,
Right.
was I had a reading and the lady said, oh, you's a whole witch. And I said, mm-hmm. And she said, like every lifetime. She said, but your
Yes,
problem
that
is,
same here.
she said, you have been persecuted and killed every
Oh
lifetime
my God. See, now you creeping
that
me out,
you
Michelle.
have to live free this time. And
Oh my
after that
God.
day,
Like, this is crazy.
baby, after that day, I never looked back. I said, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm crazy or not.
That happened to me, but it happened to me. It's this pastor that I'm friends with, but she's a psychic medium, right? Like she's the first psychic medium, like openly. They know she does readings and she's a minister in a church in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a past life reading from her. And she didn't really do them like that, but spirit kept telling me, like, be on her, like she gotta do yours or whatever. So she basically was like, every lifetime that happened, you've been killed, and now you can't. This is why you have an issue with, being confined and being in, religious
Right.
type of settings. She was like, you don't have to choose. You could practice everything at one time because you were already that. So I said, what? So that's funny. And then my tarot reading, I was having really bad panic attacks. I had no idea why. And it was the spirits that I knew I was walking that was following me. I used to just tell them to shut up. Like I had trained them enough to not bother me. But this particular time, they were like, no, you have to now. And I was like, so the panic attacks was really, really bad, really, really bad. And I was like, not saying anything to anybody. And I went, my fiance took me, and when I sat down, they started ringing bells and singing and shit. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, oh, you're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be reading cards. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm like, what? She was like, well, if you don't answer all of those spirits behind you, you're going to keep having panic attacks. I was like, what? Then I was going through something with my kids during my awakening where they wanted to go stay with their dad, and I was stressing myself out. So this particular time, with that, she was like, let the 15-year-old is the ringleader, she said. And my daughter was 15. She said, let him go there. You have to, because you're not gonna do what you're called to do if you don't. And I'm like, lady, whatever. Like, then she told me I was gay, child. I was like, okay, bitch, you probably really do know. Like, you're not
Right.
lying now.
Like
Come
you
on
really
now.
not
Like, how
scamming,
you know? I ain't
because
even
I've
say
seen
nothing.
people read body language and try to give you a reading off of that. So yeah,
Yo,
yeah.
I'm like, what? She said, the person that you're with, here I am, lashes on, lips on, honey, titties up to my throat. I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
mean, you wouldn't know. You would think I was. So when she said the girl that brought you here loves you very much, I've read her before. Now, we went around the corner and we mixed ourselves up because it was a long line outside while she did the cleansing and stuff. So she came in and she was like all the way in the beginning of the line. And then I came back around. I waited like 10-15 minutes and I came all the way like 4 or 5 buildings down around the corner. And then I came and I was the last one on the line. So she wouldn't even know. I didn't say anything to her. I didn't speak to her. I didn't say nothing. There was no way that lady would have known that that's the person that brought me there, let alone that I was engaged to them. So it was crazy. So I get exactly what you're saying, because that's really the way spirit has been with everything. Even now, I'm learning about Kemetic spirituality, and they were adamant on the person I'm learning from. This is the person that's going to teach you that. You're not allowed to learn from anybody else right now. This is the only person you need to. And the same thing with you. They're like adamant about. And when I said that you were going to be the person, if I was to going to give my hand to IFA, that you would be the person to crown me, I got goosebumps again. And then you said you got it. So this is what I'm saying. So spirit is definitely adamant like that. So for you, you're saying that what got you through is basically a lot of rest and just being unapologetic about who you are.
Right.
And just accepting it. Gotcha.
Right.
So what do you love most about your life now because of your spiritual path?
Man. I'm gonna say this. The healing that was involved, as well as currently going through healing of things that I thought that I had already dealt with.
Okay.
Because one thing, that we are taught is, you may think, okay, well, I went to therapy, or, I've voiced about this, I've talked about this, so I'm good. It doesn't trigger me anymore. I'm good. Yeah. But your body, especially as us women, will start holding that.
Yes.
To show that subconsciously you have not really completely healed from that. And just like we never stop learning, we never stop healing as well.
That part.
I have also learned how to deal with life cycles. Now, I'll tell you, sometimes my daughter will be like, Mom, I don't want to hear that shit right now. I'll be like, okay, all right. Okay, Shango, I'm gonna let you have your moment.
Okay,
but,
see?
All right. And then she'll come back later on and she's like, okay, Mom, you might be right. Or, because I'll ask her, I say, did you, she got real mad one day. She said, how did she say it? She said, I don't even know why, everybody think IFA so lit and Orisha this and Orisha that, and I don't even know if it's working. I said, ooh,
girl.
I said, let me go in my room and calm down first, and then I'm gonna come back. Cause when that lightning strike your ass, I'm gonna let you catch it, because you about to be 27, you old enough. So then I came back. I said, listen, first of all, your first mistake. I said, well, I understand that you're young, and I took her through hell because she kept saying, I'm gonna go with you. And I was like, no, it's a trend right now. I want to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Right, what you're getting yourself into.
So once she showed me that she knew, I was like, all right, well, come on, we going through together then. And I just told her, then I said, listen, I understand you're still young. I understand, all her yearly readings talk about her temper and how her words can be like poison.
Well, that's that Shango energy.
Right? Yes. No, and she a Gemini,
Oh,
so
period. Okay. We be like that, okay?
Right.
See, June or May.
She's May. Actually, she's a Taurus Gemini. She's May 21st. So she got a lot of both qualities.
Ooh, girl.
But okay. And then she Shango Oya at that. So it's like,
that is so crazy.
So I'm like, oof. So she said, well, you act like you ain't never. I said, yeah, I did have a bad temper, but prison and anger management will learn you how to teach you how to deal with that.
You better tell them.
I said, so I said, but your problem is, and I've noticed this with a lot of people, and I say this because people come into this walk thinking, okay, I'm initiated, I have my Orishas, they're going to do everything for me. No. First of all, when was the last time you just went and gave your spirit something without fucking asking for something?
Okay. You better preach on today.
I say, first of all, you have to build a relationship. You just don't turn this. You ain't going to go turn your Ogun pot on and be like, okay, Ogun, go take care of all my enemies and think it's going to work like that. Right. And then what are you even giving him to take care of your enemies? Have you even now listen, I love my Ogun, so sometimes I just go outside and lay next to it and have a whole conversation. All right. And he's the only my Ogun pot, which actually has Ogun, Ochosi, and Oshun. But I'll lay with my warrior pot sometimes just because I'm like, this your favorite child and I love y'all too. You know what I'm saying?
Period. That part.
But I had to teach her that like it ain't like when your father used to make you go to church and you not to knock in Christians, but some Christians have this misconception that they can just go to church and I ask
And
God
pray.
for this and it's mine.
And they ain't gotta do nothing to get it.
Right.
And I was raised in the church, so don't come for me, y'all, because I will come back. I fight back.
Right.
I'm gonna tell y'all.
So that's why I'm like, it's not that's not the relationship. Like you
Right.
have to have, and I said in certain spirits, you keep going to them for shit, but you
They
ain't
gonna start
never
fucking
like,
shit up.
hey, what do you want? Or nothing. And they feel like it's not
That is
reciprocated.
one-sided. Yep. They gonna start fucking shit up.
Okay.
For real. They will. So let me
So
ask
that
you this.
was, just changing that life, as far as, okay, I do got to get up in the morning and pray with my 18. I'm gonna have to put these 16 nuts in my hand with this shea butter, and I'm going to. And when I say, if you, because being a medium, before IFA, I was just used to. I get up in the morning, hey everybody, I put the coffee out, put the water out, put
Right?
food, whatever the case may be, water my plants. Hey, okay, some of y'all, I'm gonna need y'all to stay home. A couple of y'all can go with me.
Right.
So just used to being free like that, and it's then going to, okay, I really should do my prayers every morning, and I really should, give SU something, or I really should. So learning that tradition, because there is a science behind it, but not to confuse it with, church or religion, being organized like religion,
Right.
but
Yeah. Of course.
actually just having that spiritual life with your human life does make a difference. Because when I
It
won't
does.
practicing it, I was just kind of floating in the EFI streets. It took me about 6 months to kind of get like,
Used
okay,
to
this
it.
shit is happening, and this is what we're doing.
You know what I think it is? I think it's when you've had it when you've been through these things a couple lifetimes, and it's such a dedication, a level of discipline that you have to have, and things like that. And you've already been through it, and you've been dedicated to it, and you've been killed for it. It's very hard to go back into that space of discipline because it feels so much like religion but then you gotta like it really has to be, like you said, a mind changing where you are dedicating yourself to this willingly rather than
Right.
feeling like somebody's making you do something. It's a little bit of
Right.
a
That I
difference.
think that was the thing too. And I had the conversation. I told my godmother, I said, I'm so glad that you brought that up in one of the classes on the Zoom. She said, I want for my godchildren to elevate to a space where you don't gotta go to an altar. You don't gotta go to, your designated place for your Orisha. She said, I've been on a plane and had to call Ogun down and have a conversation. She said, I want y'all to be to a place where, okay, that's something that you started with because you needed a focal point, but that focal point isn't actually your relationship.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, I'm so glad you said that. And she said, why? I said, because, sometimes I'll be at work and I'll be like, listen, Yemoja, and I'll call her down. So it's like, as long as I know the method of calling her down or the method of talking to Ogun or talking to my Eshu and the proper way to do it, I really don't need these things.
Right. Absolutely. They are
So
tools, just like the tarot cards
right,
and everything.
right. So once she kind of validated that for me, then it made me be like, okay, I'm gonna go pray with my king. Because I'm so used to when I get up in the morning, I would just get up, thank God for my eyes opening. I already spoke to my Ori, but I called it my higher self. This is the kind of day I would like for us to have. And when I first came in, it was, no, you're going to go pull out a white sheet. You're going to pray with these king, and you're going to say these prayers to blah, blah, blah. I was already doing it. I just won't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once
Traditional.
I learned that I was okay and I was where she wanted the rest of her godchildren to be.
Then you were comfortable.
Yes.
So what would you tell somebody like that's really just starting their spiritual journey, or even like just starting, you know, to practice IFA? Or, you know, if you want to just make it that specific, but anyone on a spiritual journey, because I know you were on a different journey beforehand and you have some wisdom as far as that's concerned. So what would you tell somebody?
I would definitely say, because it was a mistake I made in the beginning, don't reach out to everybody. Everything that you need is within yourself.
Y'all heard that? Okay.
And learning to trust that you don't need somebody else. I was in a space, even with my mediumship, because my mediumship didn't look like the next person's mediumship. So I thought my mediumship was broken. You know what I'm saying? But I had to learn that no, the only thing that was broken is I was doubting what I was picking up with.
Right.
Or I was, and nobody else, like, to be completely honest, nobody else can give you that. That's something you have to give yourself. And once you can go within and listen to your guts, you ain't never gonna be wrong.
That part.
Because I've been in the beginning, I've been in a place where I didn't know where or who I was. I didn't know who or what I was. But the other people around me could see it and took advantage of it. And it's in a bad place to be.
Okay.
We even discussed it. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's in a bad place to be. So I would say with anything, just always go within, always, trust your guides, trust your spirits, trust your ancestors. First of all, your ancestors. And then, even, we learn in IFA, your ancestors always gonna come first before any Orisha or anything else. Then you're gonna deal with your Ori, because that's where the term Orisha comes from, your Ori. And then you're gonna deal with your Orisha. And you have to have a relationship with all of that, because you can be in a dangerous space. And I'm gonna just say, like, you can lose your life trying to seek out and, why is this happening? So I would really say go within. And a lot that I've noticed now that's irritating me, and it be making me come off of Facebook a little bit.
Say it, girl.
I'm gonna speak on this.
Go ahead,
I hate to see one person say, this energy is heavy today, or make sure you wrap your head today, or do this, or I had this and spirit said this is coming. And then you see another person co-signing that and another person co-signing that, but you might not be feeling that.
Okay.
And then, and that's their experience. And I'm not saying that that's not legit. I just don't want for anybody. I have a client that told me she felt like she wasn't gifted because she wasn't picking up the same thing that she would see 3 or 4 well-known, Facebook people posting. Girl. And I said, no, sweetheart. Listen, what's always good for the goose ain't good for the gander. Okay. Or, like they would say, even now, I tell, people who I know who have knowledge of church, or I know who have knowledge of the Bible, I tell them this now, as they say, even the devil comes in sheep's clothing. Okay. So what spirit are you actually talking to? What spirit are you listening to? And you might see a person on Facebook that got all this following, all these likes, but what do their eyeballs look like? Okay. Like they talking something.
Is it a black hole at the back?
Right. Is there a soul there? Is there another set deeper than that? Is there another set of eyes looking back at you?
Okay.
So just because this person may have 600 likes and 5,000 people on their Facebook does not mean that that's a good spirit that's in them.
Say that.
Okay, because demons know the scripture too.
Okay, they know scriptures too. They know how to shape shift too. They know how to use people.
Right, and in Ifa we call it the Ajogun. That's why for a while Eshu was looked at by the colonizers as the devil, because they did not realize, yes, while Eshu can be a childlike trickster, Eshu is also the divine messenger, hence
Hmm.
Jesus, okay,
But you see how
who
quickly the two
carries
can
the
go
prayers
together.
from here to heaven. Eshu, you know, we always say there's 401 Orishas. Why? Because there is 200 with the Ajogun and 201 that are on the positive side. But Eshu can rule both sides. So
Hmm.
if you don't know, you know, that knowledge, someone on the outside looking in would be like, I'm scared of Eshu. Just like they say, I'm scared of Papa Legba. Well,
Hmm.
that's because American Horror Story lied about who Papa
I
Legba
know,
was.
child.
Right. Okay. So like I just want people to really be mindful, because even now sometimes it is sickening to me because I
Hmm.
see the same shit regurgitated.
Hmm.
And while I understand we all have different clients, we have different timelines that we're trying to reach or trying to help, we know we are working together as the collective. Some of them are working together out of ego.
Period.
Right.
And
So
that's a word
that's
right
my
there.
main thing. That's my main thing. And it's okay too to I'm thankful I've never had this issue, but I have some God siblings who have came from other Elays
Mhm.
or other godparents. If some ain't right in your spirit, it's okay to go
It's not
somewhere
right.
else.
Just go somewhere else. It's like if
If
you go
you
to
know
a
your
therapist,
godparents are doing some shit that they not supposed to be doing,
he say
it's
ask is
okay to
how
go
they
somewhere
listen.
else.
Yes. It's like finding a therapist, right? You go to a
Right.
therapist, you don't like their ass. You know, you can't figure it out. You can't put your finger on it, but you should leave if you don't feel
Right.
comfortable, you don't feel like you're getting the help or the guidance that you need. And that's the
Correct.
same way when you go to a doctor. If you don't like the way your doctor deals with you, the way that your doctor takes tests, or whether or not they listen to you when you tell them you have an issue, you go to a different doctor
Right.
too. Why do you feel like if it's a spiritual nature, you got to stick around somewhere that's not working out for you? Absolutely not. Always listen to your spirit and your spirits as well as your intuition, because that is God speaking to you through you. So
Right.
yes,
That
I get
part.
it. So basically, listen to your intuition, listen to your God self in your spiritual journey, whatever that may be. So I love that you said that, Arita Fish. Ray T.
See,
Fashe.
Fashe.
Where can everybody find you? I want to make sure that they know where they can find you before we end this.
Okay, on Facebook, it is Itifase Fayemi. It'll have Michelle Johnson hyphenated underneath. On Instagram, it is Divine Insight 7.
Okay, so you're gonna have, drop it in my inbox so I can put it on when I do the editing for everything. But this was an amazing, amazing. I'm just so happy, and I'm so happy with Spirit. And child, you just so
I
close to
love
my
it.
heart. And y'all better do
Yes.
right by my reader, y'all. Or we gonna have a damn problem. Okay.
But your people ain't no joke either. Cause honey, I was like, wait a minute. When I say they made me get up out my bed and get some paper and a pen, I was like, all right,
We got some
I'm
shit.
gonna write it down.
Listen, and I knew because when I think we were initially supposed to do the reading on a Thursday, and they said no. Ask her about Friday. Let her have a day. She needs to rest. And I didn't know why. I was like, okay, I know you work. I know you work in a barber place, and I know maybe you were off or Friday or whatever. So I was like, you know what? Okay, fine, that makes sense. At first, they told me there's a reason. I'm like, okay, like for the most part, I don't really. If it's my ancestors or certain ones, I'm not gonna ask no questions. My grandmama, the one that told me, do it on Friday.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just change it. I didn't really think anything of it. Come to find out, they wanted to get to you in the dream state, because that is one of the best ways that you communicate with spirit, right? So I'm like, okay, well, when we got on the meeting, she said, girl, your people came to me. They started coming to me yesterday, but I'm thinking it's so she can get some sleep, and it's so they can
Nah.
mess.
Hell yeah. They did, and they came deep. I was like, God damn, okay, all right. Well,
A lot of people don't know that about me though. A lot of people be thinking, because I'm like, I'm one of them people that's like, my grandmother low key practiced hoodoo. My granddaddies low key was root workers. My people was different. We from Mississippi. They quiet about their shit. They gonna do what they gotta do, and that's it. So I'm not one of them people that be like, yeah, I do this, I practice that, this, that, and the third. And plus, I don't really like labels. I'm like, in the community, and I don't even like labeling myself. So for me to do that in the spiritual realm, I'm like, whatever. I do this, I do that, I do that. I know how to do this. That past life was that. So I don't necessarily speak on the spirits that I walk with. Most seers see me though, but there are other people that don't. And there have been times where people saw me and then knew that I didn't necessarily see myself and use that against me. So I don't usually say what it is that I know about my spirits.
Yeah, exactly. Because I had some ancestors that came through and told me. Now, I had a lady who told me, she said, oh, some of your ancestors is raw. I said, well, they can be a little feisty. She said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. She said they were literal shit throwers. And I was like, oh, those. Because I remember, I had someone come through and say, why I can't go throw shit on this person's doorstep and them know that I was the one who threw the shit.
That part. I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. It's so crazy for me because most of the time they be quiet. They be like, oh, well, I'm trying to get through to you. Like I get a little bit of message or they come through and they just make their presence known, but they don't communicate like how they did with you. So when I was like, you know what? All right, then, that's what y'all meant. So it meant something, and it means a lot to me for me to be seen, especially now because I have my guards up with certain people, certain energies, but they let me know now who. Okay, no, you can open yourself to her. And that's why when I was sitting there, they were on me the other day. And they say, you got to start your podcast back, but you need to do it on YouTube now. And I said, well, okay, well, I don't even know. And you got to have guests. I'm like, man, I don't know. The spiritual community is a little funky. So I don't know if people going to let me, they're going to come in with me and stuff like that. They said, no, people love you. You think they don't, but they love you. And I said, she said, but you got to have Iretifase.
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 There you go.
You know what? This is the way that I say it at home. But yeah, so Iretifase on first. She has to be the first one. And I'm like, y'all co-signing somebody? What?
Right.
Then I got the list now. I got the list. I ain't get to everybody yet, but I got the list. And they like, she got to come first. Okay. And I said, you know what? All right. So, for them to say that, I was like, okay, they were on me heavy, heavy, heavy. So I know that this is something that's absolutely needed. People need to see that even though we're in all different walks of life, there are some good ones out there. There are some that are called, even though they might not look like what you would specifically think they would based on what they're practicing and things like that. And that, it could be done. It could be done where everybody is in their own lane, doing their own thing and still support and love one another. So I first want to thank you so much for saying yes, because you didn't hesitate, boo. You was like, what? Yes, of course.
I'm with it.
You know what I'm saying? And I really appreciate that because you could have been like, well, what the fuck is this about? You know what I'm saying? But I know you see my people. You see me, see you, see me.
Right.
And we're gonna get into listen, I'm gonna hit your inbox because you seen some Orisha just now. You think I don't know. You seen some information that I want to know. But we're gonna do that behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask you whatever. I'm gonna inbox you because I will bother your inbox.
Man.
But yes, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call this a day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Those of you that will watch, I pray that it blessed you and it gave you all the information that you need. And those that don't watch, that's fine. Keep scrolling. Don't be a hater. I'm just saying. Positive comments only because my block finger is strong. Comment below to let me know if this worked for you or if you guys have experienced some of the things that we spoke about today, and show her some love, y'all, because she's amazing. She's dope and she's truly, truly gifted. Till next time, y'all. Peace.
All right.